Hang on one second here, guys. We're just trying to get up and running. Did you start the room, Dom? I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna start it. Here we go. Oh, there we go.
All there we go, man. There we go. Just like fine wine, we get this room started, man. It's so natural, huh?
It's yeah, always smooth like sandpaper. Here we go.
No, I don't hear you. Let's see what's going on.
I mean, it's look. Oh, there we go. Smooth like sand. I'm talking to myself over here because my audio's going out on the live stream, but I didn't unmute myself in Clubhouse. You know, it's the little things, right? Just getting back into the swing of things, back from vacation, trying to remember how we do this.
I didn't even know how to start a room today, Tom.
I was like, I'm just going to start it because I was like, we've been the countdown finished. We were live, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just going to try to start the room. But yeah. Anyway, how you been? How was what did I miss last week? I heard was Julie, our fearless friend Julie, was she your co-host for Not the Smartest People in the Room last week?
Yes, we did change the name to Not the Smartest People in the Room last week.
Nice.
And Julie was dropping the hammer, causing trouble, and we had people asking if they liked the room better without Tom there, and we asked Dr. Tachi if she really
Dr.
signed
Tachi
off.
Was very sad that Tom wasn't there. I have to say that much. She was very sad.
She was. We asked if she signed off on things Tom really says or not, and she did. She actually told us that she doesn't sign off on anything Tom says.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that. Dominick's you're feeding me junk this morning. I don't believe you.
Hey man, I'm just telling you, you weren't here, so you don't know. That's what happened. Hey, okay, so now, because it's July 4th, it was July 4th this week, and we probably could be more prepared. I went on ChatGPT this morning, and I said, give me 5 topics for a clubhouse room. Now, some of them, I don't even know what the hell they were saying, so we will skip those. But they were talking about the podcast boom, influencers, streaming, all these different streaming services. Like, why can't I watch the Pirates? I live in Pittsburgh. Why can't I watch the Pirates without them being on Apple TV? I have a general cable. They used to be on Root TV, and now sometimes the Pirates are on. How many streaming services can I buy? Okay, then this one will get Tom worked up. They were talking about, I just want to get Tom worked up as we start here. Then they mentioned NFTs, Tom. What is your stance on NFTs to July 5th, 2023?
I mean, I will go ahead. I will go on record July 5th, 2023, and say that I just don't. I don't buy it. I don't believe it. Like I feel very similarly about NFTs the way I feel about crypto, right? And I feel like it's all smoke and mirrors. It's a farce, right? I think it was a short-lived thing. I think there was, people got excited about it because there was some sense of that, shine because it was brand new and new technology and new things happening and, this whole new world we're going into. And I think once the excitement settled down, we kind of saw that really they're not really worth anything, right? They're the junk bonds of the 2020s, right? They're like, and just like crypto turned out to be, predatory and junk, like, complete junk as a financial instrument. Same, right? I mean, I think Bankman-Fried and his downfall of his exchange, I think pretty much solidified that, pretty clearly for anybody that was paying attention, that crypto was nothing but smoke and mirrors, right? It was only worth something if you believed it was worth something. It didn't have any actual inherent value. And the thing is like, I mean, that's kind of the way currency works anyway. But the problem is you didn't get broad buy-in, right? And you didn't have sort of systematic buy-in like you do with currency, like you do with the dollar, the euro, right? The yen, whatever, what have you. If you don't get universal buy-in, then the value is going to fluctuate wildly, at the whim of people buying and selling, and it's it's a house of cards, right? And I think NFTs are kind of the same boat, right? Brandon Wilson said AI is the next trend, right? And I think it's similar kind of thing. People are all caught up about AI right now, but at the end of the day, we've had AI for years. Like, what we call AI now, people, like, I think, are starting to realize it's a natural sort of progression of the kinds of software that we've been using for years, right? The kinds of learning algorithms we've been using for years, right? Your autocorrect on your phone, right, or autocorrect in your email is the same kind of learning algorithm as ChatGPT, right? It's just a ChatGPT is a bigger, more robust version, right? But ChatGPT is essentially just a really, really powerful autocomplete. It's not intelligent, right, in any way that we consider human beings to be intelligent. So yeah, but I don't know. We started on NFTs, and somehow I ended up on talking about ChatGPT, but just goes to show you. But yeah, it's I don't know. I think NFTs are kind of smoke and mirrors. I don't know. That's my opinion. I'm on the record. What do you think, Dom?
Okay, here's what I want to know. Does anybody in this room hold an NFT? Do you have any NFTs? Like, clap if you have NFTs or you use NFT. Oh, thumbs down from Jamie. So nobody. I started thinking like maybe like I could have authors' work be NFTs. And so I went down this path and had some drawings done by an artist of, like, so let's say authors have book covers and things like that. I thought, well, maybe they could use these like different book covers and have them as currency and share them with their community and stuff like that. Maybe they'd have 10 different versions of the same book cover and be able to give things away. But it was so complex, and then to even list them, and then I paid money to turn my money into ethos, and it was a whole science. And then all I saw was my balance whittling away, and the ones that I was working on, they never developed. So, and no NFT. Julie, did you need an NFT to go to VCon?
Gonna just mention that everything Tom said is like anti-Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm not saying Gary Vaynerchuk's text, but yeah, you had to pay with NFTs. I didn't need an NFT because I had a press pass, but everybody else did. And I asked him one pointed question that I think he really liked. I said, what is the one thing I need to know that I don't know? And he went off on AI, like, you have to like get on the AI bandwagon. It is going to change the landscape of business going forward. So I'm going to shout that out. Okay, go on, Tom.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't know anything. Like, again, the NFTs, I'm not very well versed in NFTs. So, I wouldn't debate somebody on the merits of NFTs by any stretch of the imagination. I just know what my personal opinion is. When it comes to AI, I don't disagree at all with what Gary said to Julie about it changing the face of business, right? I think it will, but it's because it's a really robust tool, right? It's the same. It's very analogous to, I'm not going to say the same as, but analogous to the way the automobile revolutionized transportation, right? When you go from horses as the main mode of transportation, right, to the automobile, it completely changed the way we use transportation, right? And the ways in which we could use transportation to build businesses. It meant businesses could expand, you could cover larger service areas, et cetera, right? So in a very analogous way, I think AI will revolutionize the way we do business. It is not what a lot of people think it is, though, right? It's a tool. It is not intelligent in and of itself, right? And that's like, I think the scariest thing about AI is the belief that is put or placed on AI by people who don't really understand what what we call artificial intelligence is. And I don't even like that term because it's not intelligent, right? It's not intelligent. It's sophisticated, but it is not intelligent. And there is a big difference. So yeah, I think, I don't disagree with what Gary said at all. I think it is going to revolutionize business the same in an analogous way to how the automobile revolutionized transportation and business, right? I think those two things are analogous, but I don't think that it's intelligent, and I don't think we're in danger of AI taking over the way all the people are sort of like drumming up fear around things like ChatGPT. It's only dangerous if people use it dangerously. It is not dangerous in and of itself, right? So if people use it dangerously, it can be dangerous, right? But if you don't use it dangerously, it's no more dangerous than autocorrect on your phone, right? I mean, it's that simple, I think.
Which can be the most dangerous? Autocorrect.
I mean, it could definitely get you in trouble if you don't pay attention, and you send an inopportune. I mean, God, I've seen so many hilarious, like, awkward texts that people have sent because of autocorrect. I mean, they're hysterical, but yeah, it's no more dangerous than autocorrect if you don't so long as you use it wisely.
Fair. Go on, Julie.
I was just going to say really quickly, it's the dangerous is when human beings become lazy, and it kind of levels the playing field, because while everyone's using ChatGPT, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to just keep on writing, and they're not hitting the SEOs and algorithms, so it kind of gives me an advantage. But it's when human beings get lazy, the problems start. Thank you.
Okay, interesting. Could I ask ChatGPT to give me the most SEO'd words of, and put it, I want to get to, we're going to go John and Jamie. Oh, John, are you using AI when you do your headings to your shows at all? I know John's probably going to jump through the screen and punch me. What, I just wondered.
I am using it.
Okay, fair.
Here's the caveat. What I tell people is, use ChatGPT as the primary example. ChatGPT is only as good as the input you put in. So if you put in horrible words that have no SEO value, guess what you're going to get back? You're going to get horrible stuff. So if you don't lead with some SEO content that people are actually searching, whether it be a podcast, a blog, or whatever it might be, that's exactly what you're going to get. So some of them have been very successful. Some have not. Here's the research I did, because people have been talking about ChatGPT and podcast space so much. I was like, okay, I hear people talking about it, what a time saver it is. I can see that point. But does it actually improve search engine results? Does it include the increased downloads? So I took 3 old episodes of my show, and I took the existing titles I had, and I put them into ChatGPT and said, write a podcast title for, and I pasted that in there. Of the three, here's the results. One had a dramatic increase in downloads. The other two remain the same. They didn't change. One of the three, it also gave me some show notes. While they need to be edited to fit the content, it certainly did help. But here's the other thing I did. I went down to the metadata and I made sure that corresponded with the new title. So don't just do one. If you do one and you just like kind of like I think it was Julie said, if you're lazy and you don't put any content in there that's going to be worth a darn, you're going to get results that are not worth a darn. It's just that simple. So do your homework, spend a little bit of time, focus on your keywords. What are people searching for? And then make sure your content's in there. The good thing about titles is for podcasts, you can always change them later on. If it doesn't work, change them. Do it again. And you can chat GPT or experiment without it and see what happens. Thank you.
Right on, brother. Tom's shaking his head. We agree. We need to have some good feedback on that. Thanks. This is not the smartest guys in the room. We do this every Wednesday. Tom wasn't here last week. I'm going cross country with my dad later in the summer, so I won't be here. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to California, so I won't be here. Tom, you'll have to figure it out. Okay, Jamie, what's going on? Where you been? How's new picture for Jamie? What do you got going on?
It is. I got new headshots. I've been busy getting ready to start traveling around the convention. So that's been fun. And filming. And just Wednesdays, I've been leaving at like 7 in the morning. So I never get to see you guys. So I'm very happy to be here. You know what? I have not tried AI or ChatGPT just because I'm just so cautious about my voice because it's unique. And I brainstorm in a different way. I just write everything out on a big piece of paper to get my ideas out, and I like working it out. But yeah, I guess if I get lazy, I get like the way Julie puts it is true. If I get lazy and I want to explore that, that sounds fun. But I'm not excited to try it yet. I'm just leaving it alone. So that's my opinion on it.
All right, Jamie, good stuff. Personally, I've been using it for about 6 months, and I keep working on it. Like John said, if you're putting in junk data and junk information, you're going to get junk out. But I just get more and more specific with the details I put in, and I'll reprint out. Like if I want subtitles, and an author gives me subtitles, and we're debating subtitles, give me 50 subtitles. Give me 50 subtitles using these words, 30 subtitles using these words. And we're just looking at them like this. Okay, we like the word triumph. We don't like this word. We like this word. We like this word. And we're ultimately going to pick, and we ultimately have our own subtitles written. But it's something where if the two of us are having a meeting, I can say, well, let's see what it says. Let's ask this person to decide. So a lot of times I'm using it as a third person to what would we say, what would they, like a judge, somebody to just give one more opinion on something. What would you call that? I don't know. Tom doesn't have an answer. I don't know. All right, forget it. All right, go on.
I'm trying to figure out what are they giving their opinion on? I don't understand.
Well, okay, so let's say if we're gonna go, what do we think about this subtitle, this word or this word, and then we put in these subtitles and it gives us 10 more. What do those look like? So we're putting in that information and getting a third party to take a look at it and review. Are they adding extra words? Do they, so that is how we're looking at it.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
One more set of eyes. It's the bot. It's the ChatGPT bot that is based on, like, for instance, when I was doing it with a writing partner, we would go based on rom-com screenplays in the 20th century, this. And had we hit this beat, had we hit this beat, and then so that we would miss, let's say we were missing a beat of a common rom-com. And so then all of a sudden the third party would show us, well, we didn't have meeting of the dog or whatever those principles they were you don't have your dark night of the soul is this, and where maybe we missed it, or I'm saying yes we do have it, and then he'd say no we don't have the dark night of the soul. We put in ChatGPT and it said based on this scene we can see that this is this is this. So how's that for a clear explanation? Yeah.
Well,
when pushed, I can give you a good answer. Yes.
There is. Well, so here's the thing that I think is like part of the. Here's one of the places where I think people really fall down with using things like ChatGPT, right? The problem is that ChatGPT doesn't care about whether or not it's giving you a correct answer, right? All ChatGPT cares about is whether or not it's giving you the most likely thing to come next, right? So what it does is when you ask it a question, it just tells you what is likely to follow that question. It doesn't actually give you an answer, right? And that's one of the disconnects that I think a lot of people miss when it comes to AI is like, if you ask ChatGPT, what is, 7 times 46. It may or may not give you the right answer. It may give you a common wrong answer because it's most common, right? That wrong answer is the thing that shows up most commonly. And so it gives you that because that's what it's designed to do, is it's designed to give you what most commonly comes next, right? Think about that autocorrect thing, right? Autocorrect looks at the couple of words before, right? And says, okay, typically next you would use this word. And that's how it auto completes the words in your sentence, right? And it seems like it's amazing because it knows what you're thinking, and it's not. It's just using predictive modeling to be able to say, well, most often this word follows these 3 preceding words, right? And so when you run into a situation where you're asking something like ChatGPT a question and you're going to rely on the answer for a decision, you better check that answer because it may just be the most common wrong answer rather than the actual correct answer, right? And sometimes it just makes up answers out of common words and phrases that tend to come next in situations. So there was a really funny story I heard not that long ago about a not very good attorney who had ChatGPT draft a legal brief that they then submitted to the court in a case, in a lawsuit, and the judge's clerk went through to check the legal brief because the legal brief cited precedent, right? And the problem was that precedent didn't exist. ChatGPT made it up so that it looked like what a legal brief is supposed to look like, right? It just made up legal precedent because it knew there was supposed to be legal precedent, but it's not going to go do the research and find legal precedent and make a legal argument. It's just going to create something that looks like a legal brief. And legal briefs typically cite case law and precedent, right? And so that's what it did. But it just made up the case law and the precedent. So then the court turned around to this attorney and said, hey, we tried to find this case law, this precedent that's cited in your brief. It doesn't exist. What is happening? And the lawyer actually came clean and said that they had ChatGPT write the brief. And I think they got sanctioned by the court for that. But that's what I'm talking about is ChatGPT will just make stuff up if it fits the look of what you're trying to create. So you got to be very careful if you're asking something like ChatGPT, a learning algorithm like ChatGPT, a question. If you're asking a question, you better double check the answer because it's just as likely that it's giving you a common wrong answer as it is that it's giving you an actual correct answer. So just something to think about whenever you're asking those kind of questions.
Okay, we're going down the rabbit hole of ChatGPT. I like a rabbit hole of ChatGPT. I will tell you another way that I use it. So So I could take Tom's bio of Tom's new book, Legendarian. Is that the title of the new book, Tom?
That is the title.
Okay, so let's say Tom has like a bio about the book, or this is about the book, or something like that. I could take Tom's bio about the book, those 250 words, cut it, paste it, put it in the ChatGPT, and I'd say, I'm going to help Tom out. I could say, give me 50 current modern day posts that would help me sell this book. Give me fit. Then if I didn't like that one, it would print out 50 answers in 5 seconds. I'd be like, give me 50 shorter posts about this book that would be good for selling it. Then when I didn't like those ones, I'd say, give me 50 quick posts using SEO and Google trending words. And then when I didn't like those ones, so now in a matter of really, this took me 1 minute to explain this. So in a matter of 1 minute, I think I did 3 or 4 different ones. I would have 200 posts. Now you could say, and no, I agree with Tom. You could check, and half of them might be complete dog crap. You know, that you're like, these are junk. I wouldn't say this. Tom wouldn't say it like this. But now it's been 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, I came up with 100 that were pretty good. You know, and when and if you don't like them, delete another 50. Now in 3 minutes, I came up with 50 posts that are pretty good about Tom's book. And that's where I think, like, time saver wise, it's worth a shot to figure out what's going on over there. And if you have a whole staff of people that, are behind you, well, use your staff. But on the other hand, I would want my staff doing the same thing. Hey guys, bring me 100 every day and I'll narrow them down myself. I'll put my Tom spin on them myself. How's that?
I think that's a great way to use it, right? I mean, that is, but like any other tool, it requires human intervention, right? It requires intervention. You can't but a lot of people are like, oh, it's intelligent. I'm just going to let it do whatever, like I'm just going to post whatever it comes out with. I'm just going to submit this legal brief that ChatGPT drafted for me, right? I'm just going to trust that it's doing the right thing because it's quote unquote intelligent. And the problem is, the scary thing is that when people put that level of trust in something that is inherently not intelligent, you can get some pretty dangerous and bad results, right? And that's what I think we need to avoid. What do you think, Julie? No, I think that was an accidental unmute.
No, I'm here.
Okay, there you go.
But I agree. People get lazy. People are like, oh, this is the new best thing. But when you go back to it, it's, you get the best rewards when you actually put your own elbow grease into it. So thanks, guys. Elbow
grease, always good. All right, let's go to our friend Magnificent. Magnificent. That's a good word, by the way. It's a word I should add into my vocabulary more often. Magnificent. What say you on ChatGPT? Here's what my list was: the podcast boom, influencers, and Tom gave us his thoughts on NFTs. So go on, Magnificent. What do you got for us?
Yeah. So I work with John, who's to the left of me, at least on my screen, that many of you know. And he actually kind of encouraged me to think about it because he was using it. And I was like, well, if John's using it, because I know he was as hesitant as I was at first. And all I've done is kind of fool around with it for commercials on my radio show. And that's as far as I got. But I will tell you that I was pretty impressed with what I saw. And I think what I would just ditto what Julie said. And as long as you're honest and you're doing your research and doing your work, don't take it for granted, and misuse it in any way. And I think it's going to be a great tool. I'm actually going to try, and I'm wondering if anybody else has tried this, is I'm going to ask it to make me a funnel for something that I sell, which is tower gardens, growing your own fruits and vegetables in your own home all year round with hydroponics. So I'm going to try and do a funnel like that. And anyone who's clicked in ConvertKit on the interest of the the Tower Garden, I'm going to do more specific ones just to them. So not very helpful, I don't think, but yeah, I have started to use it, and I do think it will play a role and can play a role if used in an ethical way.
Interesting. I would be, you have to report back to us on if it can create a funnel. Who knows? All right. Interesting. Not the smartest guys in the room. Johnny, what do you got to say on all this, my friend?
Oh, I have I'm very, very, very cautious about AI. I've played around with ChatGPT because it is the hot new thing, the shiny toy on the playground. But here's my problem with it. And I don't say this from opinion. I say this from demonstrable fact. ChatGPT is not intelligent. It cannot create from whole cloth. It cannot, think for itself and imagine anything. And so it has to pull the data and the information that it's pumping out from another source. And I have seen it plagiarize other work over and over and over again. And I know it for a fact because I saw it plagiarize myself. I put a prompt in, and what came back was my own words from another source. So I don't like that. As a creator, as a creative person, I don't like the idea that artificial intelligence in its current form at its best is plagiarism. Now, I understand that it's the shiny toy on the playground. It's, the future of what business, creativity, media. So I am getting familiar with it. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. That's my thoughts.
Fair enough, Johnny. Hey, I was on a board meeting the other day, and during the board meeting, we were not arguing, but there's like 10 of us, and we were talking about a letter that we needed to send to somebody to cancel services. And while we're talking, and we always like debate over every word. And while we're talking, I said, "I'll write you a letter right now." And I went on ChatGPT while I'm talking to the board, and I'm like, "We need to resign from our relationship with this person. Make it, leave door open." And I added like 5 points in, wrote the letter, sent it off to the board. And I'm like, "Here, look at this. Our friend ChatGPT did it." So at first they were like, "We hate this. This is the worst letter ever." Then like I saw that they like went and like changed it and did their own thing to it. And the final letter didn't look that much after they put their 8 heads together. It didn't look much different than what they changed like one paragraph. And this is the people that were completely against it. And then I think ChatGPT actually won at the end of the day. So that's I'm pro ChatGPT here, but I agree that I think it's funny that if you don't know and you ask it and you think things are fact. And I will tell you, we already had a book plagiarized too, Johnny, that somebody took the front cover of our book. They zoomed in on it like an odd zoom, so you could see it was all pixelated and stuff, because when you put book files in, you have to put like the highest resolution, so you could see that how they zoomed in. It was all pixelated. So then I was really interested, so I had to go I went on Amazon and I saw so they used the same cover but zoomed in on it, called it something a little bit different but very similar, and inside was just like 360 quotes. And I knew right then, oh, come on, these people used ChatGPT. And the guy was from like, he had never written anything. He was from another country, which more power to him, but most of his posts were in another language, but his book that mimicked ours, it just seemed like a ChatGPT project. And the weirdest thing about it was he started commenting on my author stuff and putting his link and his picture of the book that was his book that was a ripoff of our book. I think he was just trying to make a couple bucks as quick as he could off of our book at the time. So I see that weird stuff going on. Okay, now that I scared you straight. Okay, sorry, not the smartest guys in the room. Debbie Griffin, what is going on?
Good morning, everyone. Just staying busy trying to promote my current book and another upcoming one, a devotional. So I'm excited about that. And regarding ChatGPT, I have tried it. Because my one book deals with gaslighting and domestic abuse, I don't always get the output from ChatGPT as I had hoped, like to create posts and things like that. I get all these these warnings, about how all the danger things about chat or about gaslighting and stuff. So I have to kind of think around it and kind of come up with maybe other ways of trying to get the information that I'm looking for. So it is for me a work in progress. But I want to liken chat gpt with the new cars and stuff that are out there that have all this lane departure and all these bells and whistles that tell you if you're doing this and, oh, don't change lanes now because there's somebody right next to you and, blah, blah, blah. I remember the car salesman telling me that, hey, these are all great safety features, but it doesn't take the place of a human actually being in control. So I think that's the way I see Chat GPT. I think it's a tool. I think it can be a helpful tool, but it does have to be used in the right way. And and it involves, I think, a lot of your personal ethics. So on that, I land my plane.
Thank you, Debbie. That's good stuff. Hey, I will tell you, I live in Pittsburgh, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the self-driving cars. Maybe they're common everywhere, but we have like Google down in the city, and like they have a Google office, I guess. And so we have these self-driving cars in town, and they have like these big, on top of them. I don't even know what you'd call it. It spins around on top, and they're going all through the streets and stuff. And somebody told me one day that all of a sudden they saw the car just ramming right into it just kept ramming something on the side of the road. It just couldn't, it was like almost, it couldn't stop ramming whatever was next to him. So I don't know, some kind of bug. Okay. So
Hey, that sounds like the title of a hip hop song. Can't Stop Ramming.
yeah, you should chat GPT it right now, Johnny. Johnny's not going to because he doesn't like chat GPT. Okay, the next question here on our, I actually went on ChatGPT today and was looking for. I said, "Tell me." Okay, I'm gonna go to my phone here and see what, because if you're looking on me live stream, it looks weirder. But I'm gonna see if I can look it up. Let's see. I'm gonna go into ChatGPT on my phone. Okay, so I said 5 trending media topics for a chat on Clubhouse. That's what I put in this morning. So let's see. It said streaming wars. Discuss the fierce competition between streaming platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Video. Explore the impact of original content pricing strategies and the future of television. Okay, boring. No. Okay, then it was the second one. Social media influencers. Dive into the world of social media influencers, their influence on pop culture. Talk about their rise to fame, the impact of sponsored content, and the challenges they face in maintaining authenticity. Okay, decent. Podcasting boom. Oh, this is one you guys would like. Explore the growing popularity of podcasts and their impact on traditional media. Discuss the diversity of podcast genres, monetization strategies, and the future of audio storytelling. Okay, I'm getting bored. AI in media, NFTs and digital art. So that was what we had on our chat. That's what ChatGPT came up with it today. Is it decent?
Well, I like the first three ones. The ones you were bored with, I thought were fascinating topics.
All right, well, bring it on. Well, I told you, man. Why can't I watch the Pirates on? And I have to have 50 streaming services at my house. And why did Peacock all of a sudden start charging me? Come on! And what is going on? So, all right, Tom, what do you got, man? I've had enough.
I mean, the reason why you can't watch the Pirates is because business. I mean, it's a licensing thing, right? Like they want, you know, they will only license the broadcast on certain broadcasters, and it's, you know, highest bidder wins, and they black out certain geographic areas because they want to push people to go to the stadium rather than watch it on TV. Or they want to push you to buy a particular package where they make more money than like from the standard broadcasters for geographic. So it's business. That's why. It's because they make more money by doing that than by not doing that. And at the end of the day, the Pirates are a business, and that's the reality of it, right? It's lame. I'm not saying it's not lame. But I mean, that's the reality of it, is they make more money doing it that way. And so that's why they do it that way, period, end of story. Right. It's very straightforward.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm getting ready to do a new theater show launching July 22nd. And I've been, you know, I embraced the digital media. You know, I went virtual with performances at the COVID shutdowns, but I got to sell tickets to this thing, right? It's a live show, 500 seats. I got to sell tickets. And so I've had people ask me, are you going to film it and broadcast it? No, I'm not. I am going to film it, but if you want to see it, you're going to have to pay to be a supporter on our Patreon page to have access to that. Otherwise, you got to buy a ticket and show up. Either way, you're getting charged. I'm not putting anything out for free, people. So that's why the Pirates do that, Dom. They need you they need to make the money.
I thought when I bought my cable and I got Root TV, which they were on for a year, that was what I was buying, and now all of a sudden they're on Apple TV too. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's because contracts change.
Man, it stinks. Okay, see, I already don't like this streaming conversation. And then when's Netflix going to figure it out that everybody's stealing passwords? I mean, come on. I mean, how hard is it to make you log in with a different password so that 50 people aren't stealing one password? Come on, hire me. I'll solve that problem today. All right. Go on, Tom.
I mean, I don't know anything about the Netflix password stealing thing. I know that Netflix has now changed it because they were trying to avoid people password sharing, right? So that like one person would buy an account and then share that password with like 10 people, and they would all log in from different parts of the country or whatever, or different neighborhoods, et cetera, different houses. So I know they've been working towards trying to eliminate that. But yeah, I mean, you know, when it comes to the Pirates thing, you know, like Johnny said, basically that contract was up. And when that contract was up, they renegotiated and decided to take the business elsewhere. But make no mistake, it's not a question of like, are they making money or are they giving it away for free? They are only ever broadcasting someplace where they're making money. The Pirates do not do there's nothing free about anything any of the MLB teams do. You can only ever watch the Pirates someplace that they are making money based on the licensing deal that they have with that broadcaster, right? They're always making money, period, end of story. The question is where they end up going is where they're making the most money, right? That's really what the determining factor is. Not whether they're making money, but how much money they're making.
Who here has what they would consider traditional cable at their house. Can you flash if you have like traditional cable? That is not good. Okay, Jamie seemed to be flashing. I have traditional cable. Do we need to ditch this traditional cable? So traditional cable to me means I'm getting like 60 channels, 200 channels or something like that, and I pay $100. Is that like, go on?
I was going to say, whether you ditch it or not, it's going to cease to exist probably within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So I've been saying this for at least the last 10 years, if not longer. But eventually, all of these cable providers, right? Spectrum, Comcast, Time Warner, whoever, right? The big cable providers are. Eventually, they will stop providing broadcast programming and they will simply be internet service providers. That is all they will be, because the line between internet and television has been getting erased for a long time. It started out being a pretty clear line. It started getting a little blurry, when you take the pencil eraser and you start erasing a line, or you just gently erase it, it kind of gets a little blurry, a little faded, right? So that line has been gently getting erased over time, and it is very, very blurry right now and barely perceptible in a lot of ways. But within the next 10 years, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's in less than 5, those cable providers are not going to be providing broadcast content anymore. It will simply be, they will simply be internet service providers. And what we'll see instead of the traditional broadcast cable is we will see, as we're already starting to see, like with Disney and with Hulu, we will see a conglomeration of streaming services, so that you pay one service, you pay one fee, and you get access to 3 or 4 different streaming services with one fee. And we're going to see some licensing deals happen there that sort of will mimic in a lot of ways what is happening, or what traditional cable looks like, where you pay that $100 a month and you get 60 channels. So it's going to be a similar kind of thing. You're going to pay a fee and you're going to get access to a bunch of different streamers with that one fee, which will be slightly less expensive, although not dramatically less expensive. It'll be slightly less expensive than subscribing to a bunch of those streamers. But I think we'll get to see that, and we'll see more mergers happen over time, right? Like Disney and Hulu merged, right? Disney owns Marvel, they own Star Wars, et cetera, et cetera. Like, so we're gonna continue to see Amazon is buying up other broadcasts. You can get Paramount Plus and other things through Amazon. So we're gonna see more constriction in the number of options available. But it's basically it's just gonna shift from being cable to being streaming. But it's going to be same kind of, same difference. But that's what's going to happen. I would give it 10 years at the outside. Wouldn't be surprised if it happens within 5. That's my future prediction.
Right on. Okay, Tom, I feel you, man. And I will tell you that I do bikes and hikes for what was a cable company, and they consider themselves an internet provider. Wireless is where they're at, and the whole movement seems to, everything Tom just said, spot on, push towards streaming on their channels, Omni stations, everything like that, that you can see all the programming from everywhere, all over. So yep, you're nailing it. So I'm going to go to Dr. Tachi and then Jason, just because I know this is Dr. Tachi's space. So Dr. Tachi, teach us.
I mean, Tom, did you ever know that you are my hero? You are the
Dr. Tachi, hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Go on, Julie.
Lord.
Go on.
I knew this was going to happen. The love affair.
Sorry.
Dr. Tachi, we told Tom about it when we started today that last week you said you aren't signing off on anything that Tom said. You didn't miss Tom. And so that's how we started. And now you completely made us look like fools. Damn. Go on.
Tom, if you need help, blink twice. Anyway, you know I'll always co-sign on whatever he says. But absolutely correct. I think to add to that, because I'm in this, in the space and we see this coming, I think that definitely there are going to be more mergers, absolutely. But I still think even 10 years down the road, the streamers still aren't going to understand the role of the audience in all of this. Because regardless of whatever the audience says, it still feels like they do what they want anyway and suffer the repercussions later. So it still feels like even out, way out, they still won't understand. And that is going to lead to the rise of independent streamers as well. Now, what the indies have to understand is that initially it's not going to be this cash grab that you may think it will be. And I think many people get into the space because they think, oh, there's a whole bunch of money to be made. Yes, there is, but sometimes it lands in too few hands. And when people don't know you and know who you are and what you have to offer, it's a harder upsell and uphill battle for you to do that. So you have to just really hang on, be patient, and do what you can do to win people to your side by keeping them front of mind and making those connections real. Often the content that we consume, the connection seems so detached from us because we're not speaking to the people who are there, who are actors or hosts on these things. There's really it still feels really third party. So being able to do first party connection, I think is also the wave of this. So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Dr. Tachi. We appreciate you, Tom. Any rebuttal since you got all those kind words from Dr. Tachi?
I mean, no rebuttal, a response.
Okay,
but
whatever, man, whatever.
But well, I'm just trying to be precise with my language. But yeah, no, I mean, I didn't, Dr. Tachi, I didn't believe them for a second when they started out this morning talking about how you said you didn't actually co-sign on anything I said, and you didn't actually agree with me. I didn't believe them for a second. I knew they were jerking me around. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think there's two things. I think you're dead on right that a lot of the large platforms kind of do whatever they want to do, right, and worry about repercussions later. And I think that's largely driven by the fact that the motivating force behind their decision making is short-term shareholder value, right? They don't really care about what the audience wants in the long term. What they really want is to make sure that their stock price, their value on Wall Street remains high, to return the highest possible value for their shareholders in the near term. And the long term is sort of, we'll worry about that later. They're constantly kicking the can down the road. And the problem is eventually, that can is going to get impossible for them to kick down the road, and they're going to have to face those repercussions. I think you're right too with what those repercussions will be. Those repercussions will be, I think, a couple of things. One, we may see, some of this is kind of starting to happen already, or sort of like inklings of it. But we may see some pushback legislatively, and we may see as these streamers condense into bigger and bigger conglomerates, we may see some pushback in the form of antitrust enforcement and legislation to help eliminate that, which will open up opportunities for independence, exactly like you're talking about. I mean, we're kind of in a repeat cycle of the Paramount Accords. This is exactly what happened with the Paramount Accords in the film industry back in the early 20th century, where the big five studios controlled all aspects of the film industry. They controlled production, they controlled distribution, and they controlled exhibition. We're seeing a similar thing, and then they got too big, and they basically passed the Paramount Accords, not to make it illegal to be involved in all three aspects of the business, but to make it much, much less appealing for businesses, and so that's how we ended up with an independent, a viable independent film industry through much of the 20th century, and gave rise to really some of the most classic films of our lifetimes, for sure, through that independent film industry. And I think we're going to see the same thing happen all over again with the streamers in the next decade or so. We're going to see this condensation and formation of conglomerates where they will control production, they will control distribution, and they will control exhibition. And I think we're going to see some pushback to that as they stop paying attention to what audiences want and kind of do whatever they feel like doing. And in the course of this, we'll end up with some really great opportunity for independence. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. I hope it doesn't take a decade, because I think it should. We should start that process early rather than waiting till the car is too far down the road. But yeah, I think you're dead on. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think independents are going to benefit from it. And I think it gives us all the opportunity to participate in and kind of reshape our relationship with these kinds of businesses, and that's by pushing to humanize businesses and make sure that they see us as people, right, rather than as dollars and cents on a P&L and as data points on their earnings reports, right? We want them to treat us like the human beings we are, and we have the power to do that. At the end of the day, they don't make money if we don't want them to, right? So as consumers, we win. We just have to remember that. So we'll go to Johnny. I see you flashing aggressively. We'll go to Johnny first, and then we'll go to Julie right after.
So, talking about consolidating all of the points of business and distribution, and that is actually already happening in the music industry. I was an A&R director for a record label in Nashville for 7 years at the start of the online digital distribution revolution. My record label was actually part of the fight to shut down Napster. And that's why I left, because they didn't understand the changing in the distribution models that were coming, and they couldn't embrace it. And so I left the industry. But here's what happened in the music industry. Digital sales took over the sale of physical product for a long time. Now it's actually flipped back. You guys may not know this, but physical product now has become the top seller in music sales, and it mostly happens at concerts. People want to take home a piece of that experience, but the record labels made a shift from just producing the records and the albums to actually producing the concert events, and they have a piece of all of that, from the initial artist signing to the closing curtain of their worldwide tour. And so they've become much more involved in all points of distribution, and that's how they made money, and that's how they are making money. Now, here's where this gets interesting. As an A&R director, I was often tasked with finding artists and finding projects to fit certain niches and trends. There would be a big artist blowing up, and we were given the edict, create a record to sell to that audience. Every single time we tried to do that, every time we tried to cater to an audience, we failed. Because audiences, one, are fickle, and what works for one performer is not going to work for another. And here's where we always had success. When we had an artist who was original, creative, and committed to his or her unique artistic vision, regardless of what the trend was, those people succeeded. the originals. And in Hollywood, in TV, we see the same thing. When a creator creates something, wholly original, apart from what the trends are or what data analysis says audiences want, when they commit to a unique vision and they commit, they may or may not succeed, they may fail, but 9 times out of 10, those are the properties that we end up talking about for decades. And so I always look at that as, if you are trying to chase trends and trying to figure out and cater to what people quote unquote want, then you end up running in a hamster wheel and getting nowhere. My philosophy is you create your own unique vision, you commit to that, you sell the fire out of that and find the appropriate audience for what you are creating. That's just my thought. My 2 cents. I'm Johnny. I'm done. Ta-da.
Johnny, we'll take it, brother. We appreciate you. Not the smartest guys in the room. Every Wednesday, get here or you're not cool. Okay. Jason, what do you got going on for us today, man? Where you want to wait?
Tom, you forgot Julie. She was flashing.
Oh, I'm sorry. How rude am I? Julie, go on. She flashed.
Sorry, you know what? It was a mistake. I was in groceries and pressed the button. So, but thanks, guys.
Your mic is covered, Julie. It's muffled.
Okay. You pick
So,
up then.
yeah,
Go
well,
good.
it was sounding good earlier. Now it's a little muffled. But okay, go on, Jason. What do you got, man?
There's not a lot I can really add to. Tom really covered everything, and Johnny really did. I mean, that's just it. It's like, really, where is our process of consumption of any kind of material? Media. You were talking about baseball. The transition of how broad baseball was broadcasted from the 20s to now, in the 1920s. You looked at radio and then television and then the internet, and then it's like where the money draws and how does it relate to us? When we make money now, how a lot of podcasters, content creators are all still trying to fight for their own rights to monetize and to make money. And so many people put so much effort into getting sponsors, to get, your money from somebody. What is your content worth? There's a huge plethora of people creating content every single day and making nothing and making for free. So, what are you giving away, or what are you working with the process, and who are the gatekeepers? Well, we're now seeing the level of street journalism is really coming into play, and the networks are trying to fight for that control of distribution. And when we give it away to no matter what network it is, whether a social media or a major media company, like if they repost something, say like if I post a TikTok that was controversial, right? And CBS decides to post my TikTok, should I have the rights to monetize and receive for my filming? Now, according to the legal rights in which you agree with TikTok, Instagram, or any of those, you may forego those actual rights and distribution and monetizing for forever. So it gets really sticky. I think the cable companies just transitioned. They transitioned about 15 years ago. They already knew what was coming down the pipe. When Facebook took live, I think everybody took notice. When people started posting videos, these companies took notice. And especially when they started using that content on their platforms. So we have to actually look at who's the master of distribution. Is it Capcom? Is it Xfinity? Who is it? It's not as simple. But right now, you're seeing the Wild West of fighting for monopolization, because whoever controls that controls distribution. But people find a way, and companies are being born every day. You've got audio companies, video companies through apps, and they're like, we don't have to fight for TV. We know people are bored of the control of TV. just like news is constantly trying to fight for your attention. Why? Because we are recording. I mean, I had a video go viral on my TikTok this last weekend. I have 94,000 views based on when do you have the right to film anything? When do you cross the line? And is it inspiring vigilante justice? So, yeah, it's a lot to divulge. There's not really much I could add other than what I just have, but I appreciate everyone in the room. Everyone has an experience, and I think we all should make money at it. It's just start working for that and making it happen.
Thanks, Jason. Hey, what's your TikTok, man? Somebody brings it up. I got to make sure I'm following it. What is your app?
Oh, it's 72 the Architect. I think I can put a link in the chat.
72 the Architect. Okay, we'll check it out. 72 the Architect. TikTok. Hey, that's one thing we talk about in these rooms sometimes, and I haven't mentioned it. We're all in this room for a reason on this Wednesday. Who knows what that reason is? So make sure you connect with the person next to you, have a virtual cup of coffee, watch one of their videos. Maybe you'll be a fan of what they're putting out. So I would say don't miss that opportunity to connect. Okay, now Tom.
Dom, the video I've just talked about, I just posted in your chat. So if you want to check it out.
Okay, will do, brother. Thank you. Hey, we're going to go to Tristan in a second here, but first, Tom, it's that time where I show you something. But first, would you explain the live streaming process to us? Like
Absolutely.
how we do this? Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. So for those of you who are new here, and for those of you who are not, I apologize. You're going to have to listen to this again. But every week when we get together here in this room on Clubhouse, we're not just on Clubhouse. This is a live stream. So we're on Clubhouse, but we're also live streaming on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and Twitch and all the available places that we can link this to. We're on multiple profiles on each platform. So we're on my Facebook, Dom's Facebook, my YouTube, Dom's YouTube, and by mine and Dom's, I say, my company is Talix Media, so it's the Talix Media YouTube channel. Dom's company is Motivation Champs, so it's the Motivation Champs YouTube channel. But yeah, we live stream all over the place, multiple platforms simultaneously, all around the world. And so that everybody can sort of listen, take a peek at what we're doing on all those different platforms. And then the benefit is too that while this is around on Clubhouse, and you can always listen again on Clubhouse. This way, you can listen wherever it works for you. If it makes sense for you to listen to it on YouTube, or you just want to see what Dom and I look like, you can always check us out. And then, of course, it's about that time of day, as Dominick mentioned, where he's going to get something out to show us. We're going to play show and tell with Dominick's collection of memorabilia and fascinating collectibles. Let's say that. I think that's a fair way to say it. Collectibles, right? So Dom's going to play show and tell with something from his collection of collectibles. And if you want to see that, you got to go to one of the streams because you can't see it on Clubhouse. That's what we got going on.
All right, so let's do this. So this one I'm pulling out today. This is special to me. I bought it for my mom years ago, and I don't think my mom ever liked it. But I thought she should have liked it because it was a little bit weird. But I think I might have got it at like Goodwill or something. But the other night I was at her house, and me and my sister were there, and we're looking through some closets, and I think she had it hidden away. So I brought it back out, and I think you'll really appreciate this, Tom, because you seem to dislike things with unique legs on them. So I wanted to show you. This is Michael Jackson. What video would that be from? But so he's got these little legs on it, Michael Jackson, and I don't know why my mom never put this thing out. But even cooler, wait till you see. You take off the little cap, and it is a cooler, so you could drink your beer out of this. He's got the moonwalk shoes on. Those look like a pair of Air Jordans I had when I was in high school. But what do you think about this, Tom?
I I don't know where to start and what to say. It's so
That sounds horrific. That's where you start.
I mean, honestly, if you are not, everybody needs to go and check this out. The live stream will stay up on all of our channels. So go to our YouTube channels or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever and go through watch the live stream. At least jump to this part. You'll see it. There's no way you're missing this thing. It is bizarre. Is probably the best word I could use to describe it. It's made by a company called Puppet Cooler, right? Is that what that says? Puppet Cooler? Yeah, Puppet Cooler. And it's apparently officially endorsed because it's got Michael Jackson's autograph on the back of it. So it seems like it's an officially endorsed product, and it is the bar none the weirdest / creepiest koozie I have ever seen in my life. That thing is truly bizarre, and yeah, you got to see it for yourselves, guys. It's so weird. It's so weird. The whole thing with the face stuck on the front and like the dimensionality of the face and the arm. It's so weird, guys. So weird, and a little unsettling. Honestly, it's vaguely unsettling because like there's a disconnect between the hat and the head, like and the size of the hat versus like where it goes on the head, and then when you drink from it, he's looking at you, and depending on what angle or his face is like touching your chin. Like it's weird. It's just freaking weird.
I wonder if anybody else has a puppet cooler. I mean, that's what we need to find out. We need to go online and we need to start collecting.
I mean, either a bunch of other people have them, or somewhere there's a pallet of them sitting in a warehouse, like covered in dust, just waiting to be sold on eBay for crazy money. But it's so bizarre. It's weirder than the Michael Jordan doll was just weird. This is like unsettlingly weird. It's genuinely, it's like it verges on some people might find it upsetting. It's so bizarre. It's so weird. It's so weird
Jason
that someone made that.
Jason says it's from the Smooth Criminal video. Okay, I'm looking. There we go. I see it on the little thing. So Smooth Criminal. It is a little weird. Dr. Tachi, you got to get on the live stream. You got to see this. I think. Hey, and if anybody wants to buy this, you're going to have to pay major bucks. This isn't something I'm getting rid of. It's going right back there. I'm going to get a bookshelf and put things behind me soon. So I'm going to change my setup. And this one's going on it.
It is truly bizarre. I just saw a question. Jason 72, the architect, asked on YouTube, on your channel on YouTube, asked if we're using how we stream this, what platform we're using, and the answer is Restream. We use Restream because it has allowed. I know some of the other streaming services allow this now too, but Restream has from the time we started using it has allowed pairing channels. So that's how we can stream, or have always been able to stream on my YouTube, Dom's YouTube, my Facebook, Dom's Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. So that's to answer your question. It's Restream. That's the platform that we use. But yeah, it's man, that thing is so weird. I find it hard to believe that somebody made that. That's what's like bugging me out the most, is that somebody.
All I know is I had a 4th of July get together yesterday, and I wish I would have had the courage to drink out of this all day. But I brought it down here because I wanted to make sure I had it for today. So that was more important. All right, we need, go on, Tom, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if I had one of those, you bet. I'm going to a party. A buddy of mine is having like a birthday party barbecue next weekend, and I 100% would, if I had one of those, I 100% would drink out of it the whole day, without question. But yeah, I think you have to use that at the next party, and we need to see pictures. It's only the beginning of July. There's got to be more cookouts happening this summer.
That's a good point. Yeah, I have one just for that reason.
You got to use
All
it.
right, let's move on. We've enough nonsense. We need to learn more. Not the smartest guys in the room. Sometimes we can get sidetracked. Sometimes we show stuff from my collection. Tristan, what do you got for us? Where do you want to weigh in on everything that's been going on?
Oh, no, I've been taking notes and thinking and being inspired. So you just came on while I was trying to do, I'd set myself my own challenge of trying to get to 30,000 plays by Christmas. But in order to do that, I need to up by like a third or a double my traffic a month. And so I've been trying to do some more Instagram and some more promotion because I do some little pieces, but I don't really promote it so much. And trying to see what I can do with cutting things up in clips or making sort of a secondary market or a secondary product out of the show. So mostly just listening and trying to be inspired by you guys with your big working great shows.
Tristan, man, we'll take the kindness, and we appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. And now I want anybody in the room right now with a podcast, with a YouTube show. Tristan, where's your show at? Is it a podcast? Is it a YouTube show? Where's it at?
It's a podcast. It's on YouTube. I don't do video and stuff at the moment, so this is still the consideration for next year. Maybe I should up my game. But it's more what we can do for the listeners. So cliffnotespodcast.com or search for the Cliff Notes Podcast. It's on the business of manufacturing, so it might not be to everyone's taste. But hey, we did the 100 years of history of British manufacturing in the last show. So maybe you learned something if you wanted to listen to the show that we put out this week. So, but thanks for the shout out.
Hey, fair, brother. Thank you. Hey, and I just followed you. Question, you got one more follower today. Question to everybody in the room. Anybody have any tips, or what is the best way you found to move traffic to your show? Something you're doing consistently. That anything anybody want to share? Go on, Jason.
Yeah, the best way I have is, the word of mouth. Find your super fans. I hate to say it like that. Your friends are friends, but if you have a friend that is a super fan that loves raving about you and talks about you in a good way, that's number one. Because it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It really doesn't. That is just a drop in the bucket. Like Gary Vee has millions of followers, but a small percentage of those millions actually translate into live listens or even recorded listens. It depends on the subject matter that he talks, because a lot of what he talks about, he uses, people just take those small reels or small clips and he repurposes for distribution. So that's the second part. Are you creating content that people want to hear more than 30 seconds? That's really the truth. So if you got the attention, are you going to get what I call now, I made this up, a look or a land? The looks get you a glance and they move on. The land is, I'm looking at you. Now I'm planted. Now you have my attention. So then it moves to the transition. So to get the best distribution is look of how you hook, and get the super fans to do all that hooking for you. That's the best way. Because if you're trying to compete with the formulas of social media and their algorithms, they're constantly changing. IG's chasing TikTok. TikTok is trying to be innovative. They have competitors. So everyone's constantly changing their mathematical equation to get your attention or to distribute your stuff for people's attention. So focus on the super fan that will talk about you. I rave about Dom and Tom. I talk about you guys in my Twitter. That's my best payment I can give you right now, because when I say something to a lot of people, people are chiming in. What do you mean? And I'm like, go look at a recording, something they're interested in. Be mindful of what they're actually interested in. You guys have touched on so many things, right? So many topics. But when you remember something about your show, like your guys' show, I'll talk about, you know what? You need to go check out my friends Tom and Dom and go look at this specific episode on their YouTube. If you're not on Clubhouse, fine, but go check it out. That right there is worth more than $1 million PR budget, because it has infinite possibilities depending on your friend or your super fan of how they talk. So I'll just stop there.
Man, I'm flattered. Appreciate it, brother. And anybody that you send, we're thankful of. So spot on. Anybody else have any tips on how to get people? I mean, a marketing tip on how to get people to your show. You know, like Jason mentioned, the super fan, great one. Anybody else? Something that, yeah, this is my go-to every time. Like for me, let's say we put out, I have Bikes and Hikes. I have a Bikes and Hikes hat on. Check it out. So we put out 30 shows a year, whatever is there something I should be doing or something that we do every time that, oh yeah, you have to do this? Like we clip it into shorts and things like that. What else should we be doing? Go on, Johnny.
Consistency. I know that sounds so cliche, but it is true. People show up for other people who show up. And you just, if you've got a message, if you've got something to share, if you've got, joy to bring to the world, that's what I do. I don't have a message. I don't have, some kind of earth-shattering, life-changing course, but I help people escape negativity and toxicity of the world around them for 1 hour at a time. And, I can only do that, though, if I continue to show up and continue to show up in the spaces where those people are and continue to invite them to join me on that adventure. So you've got to be consistent. You got to show up, and then you have to ask for the ask. That's what I got.
Yeah, can't be afraid to make that ask. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Jason. Dr. Tachi, go on, and love to hear from you. Yeah, this is your space.
Hey, so I was on a call, so I don't know if you already mentioned this, but did you talk about borrowing people's audiences already?
No, but this is a good one. Do tell.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's difficult to live in a bubble and do this. Sometimes you get by with a little help from your friends. Why am I quoting songs today? But whatever. So borrowing one way you could do it is obviously building your audience, building the audience by yourself, which is difficult. You need some help, so you can borrow people's audiences. How do you do that? By going on other people's shows, pitching, hey, I'd like to come on your show. If you are, having enough of a community, often people in your community are going to have their own shows, and there is a kind of cooperation that can go on, and it's like, hey, I would love to be on your show and I'd love to have you on mine. So then you're borrowing somebody else's audience. Now, does that mean that every single person who listens to that other person is going to stay with you? No. But generally, there is some inheritance factor that comes from being on somebody else's show. So even if it's a few followers or a few community members, it grows the more you do that. So definitely borrowing people's audiences is one way as well.
Great point, Dr. Tachi. We appreciate you. Hey, this is that time of the day where my attention span says, I got no more. My wife says I'm mean when I do that. I do it at home. I do it when I'm out with friends. I'll be like, all right, time to go. We'll see you. They're like, what? Yep. So Tom, when it reaches that time, do you have a tidy bow? Is it a tidy bow you could put on the top of all this today?
I mean, I think I've got something I can add on to this talk about sort of growing audience, right? Growing and sort of cultivating those fans that Jason was talking about. And that is, and this is, you mentioned my book earlier, Dom, and this is something I talk about pretty extensively in the book. And I'll just kind of give the the Cliff's Notes version of it, so as not to ramble on for however many pages I ramble on this in the book. But basically what it comes down to is the real way that you build these relationships, right? These raving fans that Jason was talking about. The way you build those relationships is on an exchange of value, because all of our meaningful relationships in our lives, personal, professional, are all built on exchanges of value. My relationship with my wife is built on an exchange of value. We each bring value to the relationship to each other, right? And give that value without an expectation of return. There are no strings attached to that value, and that's why our relationship works. And the same is true if you think about your best friendships, the best personal relationships you have, the best professional relationships you have. They're built on an exchange of value where each of you gives to the other without an expectation of return, without strings attached. And this concept, this idea, this methodology is all built off of sort of a universal human truth called the rule of reciprocation. The rule of reciprocation, basically at its most distilled form, states that you cannot take or receive without giving in return, right? That when you are given something, your instinct is to give back, right? You think of, for any parents in the room, when your kids were really little, or for anybody who doesn't have kids, who's been around little kids, seeing them interacting with their parents, you'll see this happen. Kids are, talk about a kid who's like younger than 18 months old, they can't even talk yet. The parent will hand them something, or an adult will hand them something, and as they do so, they will say words to this effect. As the child reaches up to take that thing with their hand, the adult will say, "And now you say thank you," right? Or words to that effect. And what you're doing is you're teaching that child to follow the rule of reciprocation. When someone gives you something, you give them gratitude in return, right? It's the same reason why when you're walking down the street and you pass somebody and they say good morning to you, you say good morning in return. It's a desire, not an obligation, right? It's something you want to do. And so that's what ultimately it comes down to, I believe. And again, this is what sort of the premise or the cornerstone of my book Legendeering is built on, is this idea that you should always give, right? Lead with value, give to your audience, give to your community, right? And then give them the opportunity to return that value to you. Right. So that may be through participation in a community, in listening and joining and talking on these live streams with us every week, as so many of you do. It could be by patronizing your business. They could return that value to you by supporting your business. It could be by doing what Jason's talking about, and going out and advocating for you in the work that you do, right? Which is what he does when he goes and talks to other people about Dom and I, and not the smartest guys in the room, and this show that we put on every week. So, all I would say, and I'll leave you guys with this, is I always endeavor to give more value than I take. And I would encourage everyone else to do the same. And I think if we all strive to do that, although we may not always be successful, by trying to do that, by always trying to lead with value and deliver more value than we take, I think we can make the world just a little bit of a better place, both professionally and personally. So that's all I got for everybody today. Thank you so much for being with us here this week. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend, 4th of July holiday yesterday. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your week coming up, this shortened week that we have this first week of July. Thanks so much for being here. For Dom, I'm Tom. This is Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. And we will see you guys next Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on all the platforms. Thanks so much for being here. Love you guys. See you next week. Bye-bye.